Rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows of Sterling Heights restaurant. Charlotte Hayes set down the wine glass with hands that didn't shake. Not anymore. 8 hours on her feet had taught her body to ignore pain. For years, serving Charleston's wealthiest had taught her something harder: how to smile while being destroyed. The woman at table 7 was about to test every lesson Charlotte had learned. "I don't pay incompetent help." Vivian Ashford's voice cut through the dinner crowd like breaking glass. Her Cartier bracelet caught the chandelier light as she pushed away an $847 check. "I want her fired. Now." Charlotte's chest tightened. Rent was due Monday. Lily's surgery deposit by Friday. She had $127 in her bank account and nowhere left to fall. Vivian leaned back in her chair, smiled. She embarrassed me in front of my guests, correcting my pronunciation like I'm some kind of idiot. Her perfectly manicured finger pointed at Charlotte. "Fire her, or I'll make sure every person in Charleston knows what kind of trash you employ here." What Vivian didn't see was the man in the corner booth. Marcus Westfield's blue eyes narrowed. He'd been watching Charlotte serve with quiet grace for 3 months. He'd been watching Vivian destroy people for longer. In 85 minutes, he would expose everything. But first, Charlotte had to survive this. Your support means everything to this channel. Subscribe now to see how everyday dignity defeats entitled cruelty. 6 hours earlier, Charlotte's phone alarm buzzed at 4:47 a.m. She reached for it in the dark. The screen showed 2 notifications. The first was Lily's medication reminder. The second was her bank balance, $127.34. She sat up, did the math in her head. Rent was $895. Due Monday. Lily's surgery deposit was $2,200. Due Friday. Her next paycheck wouldn't come until Thursday. Even with tips, she'd be short. Charlotte pulled on her uniform in the bathroom. Black slacks, white button-down. The fabric was thin from too many washes. She tied her hair back, checked her reflection. The woman staring back looked tired, looked older than 34. But she looked professional. That was what mattered. In Lily's room, Charlotte knelt beside the bed. Her daughter slept with one arm thrown over her stuffed rabbit. The rabbit was missing an ear. Lily had named it Lucky. Charlotte pressed a kiss to her forehead. "Love you, baby," she whispered. Mrs. Chen from next door arrived at 5:30 a.m. She'd watched Lily until the school bus came. Charlotte handed her $40, cash she couldn't afford to spend. But childcare cost what it cost. The bus ride to Sterling Heights took 37 minutes. Charlotte used the time to review her section assignments. Friday nights were always busy. The waterfront tables tipped better. If she worked fast, stayed pleasant, didn't make mistakes, she could clear 300 in tips. Maybe 350 if she was lucky. The kitchen was already hot when she clocked in at 6:42 a.m. Raymond, the sous chef, looked up from his prep station. "Morning, Charlie." "Morning. You look exhausted." "I'm fine." Raymond wiped his hands on his apron. "Lily okay? Surgery's scheduled for next month. If I can get the deposit together." He nodded, didn't ask more questions. That was why Charlotte liked him. Raymond understood that some problems didn't have easy answers. Charlotte filled water pitchers at the service station. Her hands moved on autopilot. Fill, cap, carry. She'd done this routine 8,000 times. Maybe more. She hadn't always been a waitress. 5 years ago, she'd been someone else. Charlotte Hayes, paralegal at Morrison and Cross Legal Group. Corner office. Salary with benefits. Business cards with raised lettering. She'd specialized in corporate mergers. Contract review. Due diligence. The kind of work that required precision and long hours, and a mind that caught details other people missed. She'd been good at it. Really good. Then came the Harrington Industries merger. 6 months of work. Hundreds of documents. Charlotte had flagged 17 discrepancies in the asset reports. Had documented everything in her usual meticulous notes. Had brought her concerns to senior partner Gerald Morrison. 3 days later, federal investigators arrived. Someone had tampered with the merger documents. Someone had falsified asset valuations. Someone had committed fraud. That someone, according to Gerald Morrison, was Charlotte. She remembered sitting in the conference room. Investigators on one side, her boss on the other. Gerald's face was calm, sympathetic. Charlotte's been under tremendous stress, he'd said. Single mother, financial pressures. I think she made some very poor choices. The evidence was overwhelming. Her login credentials, her digital signature, emails from her account that she'd never written. She'd been framed. Perfectly, completely. Her paralegal license was suspended pending investigation. The investigation dragged on for 8 months. By the time they'd cleared her of criminal charges, her reputation was destroyed. No firm would hire her. Her savings were gone. Her apartment was gone. Her entire life had collapsed. She'd rebuilt from nothing, moved to Charleston, took the first job she could find, started serving tables at Sterling Heights. That was 4 years ago. Charlotte kept her paralegal certificate in her locker. She didn't know why. Maybe as a reminder. Maybe as proof that she'd been someone once. The certificate was tucked inside a red folder, stored on the top shelf behind her spare uniform. She never looked at it, but she knew it was there. The dinner rush started at 6 p.m. Charlotte was setting table 12 when the front doors opened. Marcus Westfield walked in alone. Charlotte recognized him. Everyone on staff did. He came in every few weeks. Always requested a corner booth. Always ordered the same thing, grilled salmon, no sides, black coffee. He was polite, quiet, tipped exactly 20%. What the staff didn't know was that Marcus Westfield owned Sterling Heights, owned 11 other restaurants across the Southeast, worth somewhere north of $400 million. Charlotte watched him cross the dining room. His suit was charcoal gray, perfectly tailored. His watch caught the light, probably cost more than her annual salary. A chauffeur waited outside beside a black Bentley. But there were other details too, smaller ones. The wedding ring on his left hand, even though Charlotte had heard he was widowed. The phone wallpaper, a child's crayon drawing, that flashed before he tucked the phone away. The way he thanked the hostess by name. Marcus Westfield had been coming to Sterling Heights for 3 months. He always sat in Charlotte's section. He watched, listened, asked questions that seemed casual but weren't. He was assessing his investment. Charlotte understood that. Rich men didn't stay rich by trusting other people's reports. Tonight, Marcus settled into booth 17, opened his menu, didn't look up when Charlotte approached. "Good evening, sir. Can I start you with something to drink?" "Black coffee," Marcus said. "Please." Charlotte nodded, turned toward the kitchen. She had no idea he'd been watching her for months. Had no idea tonight would change everything. Table 7 arrived at 7:15 p.m. For women, designer handbags, loud voices. The hostess seated them in Charlotte's section. The woman at the head of the table had auburn hair styled in perfect waves. Her dress was cream silk. A diamond bracelet glittered on her wrist. She didn't look at Charlotte when she sat down. "I'll need a few minutes," the woman announced. Charlotte recognized the type. Old money or new money pretending to be old. Either way, difficult. "Of course. I'm Charlotte. I'll be taking care of you tonight. Can I start you with something to drink?" "Wine list." Charlotte handed it over. Waited. The auburn-haired woman, Vivian, according to the reservation, flipped through the pages. Her fingernail tapped against each entry. Finally, she pointed. "This one, the Pinot Grigio." Charlotte kept her expression neutral. The Pinot Grigio. Excellent choice. Vivian's head snapped up. "Excuse me." "The Pinot Grigio," Charlotte repeated. Her voice was soft, professional. "It's Italian." Pronounced Grigio. Around the table, the other women shifted. One bit her lip. Another looked away. Vivian's eyes narrowed. "I know how it's pronounced." "Of course. My apologies." Charlotte wrote down the order. "I'll bring that right out." She walked away, felt Vivian's stare burning into her back. At the service station, Raymond glanced over. "You okay?" "Fine. That's Vivian Ashford. She's—" I know. Charlotte did know. Vivian Ashford was Charleston society, real estate heiress, Instagram influencer with 500,000 followers. She threw charity galas and appeared in magazine spreads and spoke on local news about historic preservation. She also had a reputation, sent back meals, complained about service, left 1-star reviews when restaurants didn't meet her standards. Charlotte poured the wine, returned to table 7, set down glasses with steady hands. This was going to be a long night. The meal progressed. Charlotte moved between tables with practiced efficiency. She recited specials in French for the couple at table 9, recommended a Spanish Rioja for table 14, caught a billing error on table 11's check. They'd been charged for an extra appetizer they hadn't ordered. Marcus Westfield watched from his corner booth. His salmon sat half-eaten. His coffee had gone cold. Charlotte Hayes wasn't a typical server. Her wine knowledge was sommelier level. She spoke 3 languages fluently. She caught a $40 billing error that favored the customer. Most servers would have missed it or ignored it for the extra tip percentage. Marcus pulled out his phone, typed a quick note. Charlotte Hayes, background check. Where did she work before this? Table 7 kept Charlotte busy. Vivian sent back her entree twice. First too cold, then overseasoned. Charlotte apologized both times. Took the plates back. Never argued. But Marcus noticed something else. Charlotte's eyes. The way they assessed Vivian. Calculated. There was intelligence there. The kind that came from professional training. Servers didn't correct pronunciation. Didn't catch accounting errors. Didn't maintain that level of composure under pressure. Charlotte Hayes had been someone before this. Marcus was certain of it. Charlotte glanced at her watch. 9:47 p.m. Another hour before her shift ended. She calculated tips in her head. $260 so far. If table 7 tipped 15%, she'd be at $400 total. $400 today, maybe $350 tomorrow. Sunday brunch could bring another $200 if she worked a double. Still short, even if she skipped groceries. Even if she borrowed from Mrs. Chen again. Rent was due Monday. The eviction notice would come Tuesday. She'd have 72 hours to vacate. Lily's surgery would have to wait. Again, Charlotte straightened her apron, returned to table 7, smiled like her world wasn't ending. At 10:23 p.m., Charlotte delivered the check to table 7. The total was $847.32. Vivian picked up the leather folder, opened it. Her eyes scanned the itemized list. Then she pushed it away. No. Charlotte blinked. I'm sorry. I said no. Vivian's voice rose, loud enough that nearby tables turned. I'm not paying this. Charlotte's pulse quickened. She kept her voice calm. Is there a problem with the bill? The problem is your service. Vivian leaned back, crossed her arms. You've been rude all evening, condescending, embarrassing me in front of my guests. I apologize if. I want this meal comped, and I want you fired. The dining room had gone quiet. Phones appeared. People were recording. Charlotte's hands started to shake. She clasped them behind her back. Let me get my manager. You do that. Charlotte walked to the kitchen. Her legs felt unsteady. Raymond looked up from the dish station. Charlie, get Trevor. Now, Trevor Morrison was the restaurant manager. 28 years old. Expensive haircut. He'd been hired 3 months ago because his uncle was friends with someone on the corporate board. He spent most shifts in his office on his phone. He emerged now with an irritated expression. What's the problem? Table 7 refuses to pay. She wants the meal comped. Trevor sighed. Of course she does. He straightened his tie, walked into the dining room. Charlotte followed. Her chest was tight. Trevor approached table 7 with his manager's smile, the one that showed too many teeth. Good evening, ladies. I understand there's been an issue. Vivian gestured at Charlotte. Your server has been completely inappropriate, correcting my pronunciation, rolling her eyes, making me feel unwelcome. Charlotte's jaw tightened. She'd done none of those things. I see. Trevor didn't look at Charlotte. That's certainly not acceptable. I have 487,000 Instagram followers, Vivian continued. Her voice carried across the dining room. I can destroy your restaurant with one post. Is that what you want? Trevor's face paled. No, ma'am. Of course not. Then come my meal. Fire this incompetent waitress. And maybe I won't tell all of Charleston what kind of trash you employ here. Charlotte felt something crack inside her chest. Not anger. Something colder. She'd rebuilt her life from nothing. Had spent 4 years swallowing her pride, taking abuse, smiling through humiliation. She was tired. So tired. But rent was due Monday. Lily's surgery was scheduled for next month. She couldn't afford to fight back. Trevor turned to her. His expression was apologetic, but his eyes were hard. "Charlotte, we need to talk." "Actually," Charlotte said. Her voice was quiet, steady. "Before we do that, let me clarify a few things." Trevor frowned. "Charlotte, Table 7 was seated at 7:15 p.m. I greeted them at 7:17. Took drink orders at 7:19. Delivered wine at 7:24. Charlotte's voice didn't waver. First course was delivered at 7:41. Entrees at 8:16. Ms. Ashford sent her entree back at 8:23, claiming it was cold. Kitchen remade it. Delivered at 8:35. She sent it back again at 8:42, claiming it was overseasoned. Kitchen remade it a second time. Delivered at 8:51. The dining room was silent. Everyone was staring. Charlotte continued. I refilled water glasses 4 times. Brought extra bread 3 times. Checked on the table every 8 minutes, which is standard service protocol. At no point did I roll my eyes, use inappropriate tone, or behave unprofessionally. Trevor's mouth opened. Closed. Furthermore, Charlotte said, according to South Carolina Consumer Protection Statute 39-5-140, it's illegal to refuse payment for services rendered based on false claims of inadequate service. That's classified as theft of services, a misdemeanor punishable by fine or imprisonment. Vivian's face flushed red. How dare you? I'm not accusing you of anything, ma'am. I'm simply stating the law. Charlotte's eyes were calm, cold. You received your meal. You ate 75% of your entree. You consumed 2 full glasses of wine. You accepted service for 3 hours and 14 minutes. Payment is required. Trevor stared at Charlotte like he'd never seen her before. How do you know statute numbers? Charlotte didn't answer. She kept her eyes on Vivian. In his corner booth, Marcus Westfield set down his coffee cup. His full attention was locked on the scene unfolding. Vivian stood up. Her chair scraped against the floor. I will not be spoken to this way by hired help. Then pay your bill and leave, Charlotte said softly. Otherwise, I can call Charleston PD. They handle theft of services complaints. I'm sure you'd prefer to avoid that publicity. The other women at table 7 looked uncomfortable. One pulled out her purse. Vivian, maybe we should just... No. Vivian's voice was ice. She pulled out her phone. Started typing. You want to fight? I'll give you a fight. By tomorrow morning, every person in Charleston will know what kind of place this is. She looked at Trevor. You have a choice. Fire her now, comp my meal. And maybe I'll be merciful in my review. Or don't. And watch your restaurant die. Trevor's face was sweating. His eyes darted between Vivian and Charlotte. 487,000 followers. That was a lot of reach. A lot of potential damage. Charlotte, he said finally. Clock out. We'll discuss this in my office. Charlotte's world tilted. She'd known this was coming. Had known standing up for herself would cost everything. But knowing didn't make it hurt less. Vivian smiled. It was a terrible smile. All teeth and no warmth. She tapped her phone screen. Loud enough for everyone to hear. Let's see. 1 star for Sterling Heights. Food was mediocre. Service was hostile and unprofessional. Management allowed staff to harass customers. Do not recommend. She hit post. There. Done. Her phone buzzed immediately. Comments flooding in. Vivian turned the screen to show Trevor. See? Already 83 likes. People trust my opinion. She opened another app. Now let's try Yelp. More typing. Same review. Oh, and let's add a photo. She snapped a picture of Charlotte. Posted it, so people know who to avoid. Charlotte's hands fisted at her sides. Her face burned. Vivian wasn't finished. She scrolled through her contacts. Tapped name. Put the phone on speaker. A man's voice answered. Vivian, what can I do for you? Harrison, darling. I'm at Sterling Heights. You know, the waterfront place you wrote about last month. Her voice was syrup sweet. I'm afraid I have to tell you. The service here is absolutely appalling. Hostile staff. Incompetent management. I really think your readers should know. Harrison made a sympathetic sound. That's disappointing. I'll write a follow-up piece. Thanks for the tip. Anytime, darling. Vivian ended the call. Looked at Trevor. Harrison Mitchell writes for Charleston Dining. 80,000 subscribers. His review will run Monday morning. She tilted her head. Unless, of course, you reconsider your position. Trevor's face was white. Ms. Ashford, I'm sure we can resolve this. You've had your chance to resolve it. Vivian gathered her purse. Her friends stood uncertainly. Come on, ladies. Let's go somewhere with actual standards. She paused at Charlotte, looked her up and down. You should have kept your mouth shut. Now you'll never work in this city again. I'll make sure of it. Charlotte said nothing. There was nothing to say. Vivian's heels clicked across the floor. She stopped at the host stand, pulled out a business card, wrote something on the back, handed it to the hostess. Give this to anyone who asks about what happened tonight. They'll want my side of the story. Then she was gone. The door closed behind her. The dining room stayed silent. 50 people had watched the entire thing. 50 witnesses to Charlotte's humiliation. Marcus Westfield pulled out his phone. Typed quickly. Jennifer. Need full background checks on 2 people. Urgent. Vivian Ashford, Charleston, South Carolina. Charlotte Hayes. Same city. Everything. Employment history, legal records, financial, social media. 10 minutes. He hit send. Then opened his security app. Sterling Heights had cameras covering every angle. Dining room, kitchen, host stand. Marcus accessed the footage archive. Scroll back 6 months. There. Charlotte Hayes clocking in. Day after day. Early morning shifts. Late night shifts. Doubles on weekends. She was never late. Never called in sick. Her service was always efficient. Professional. Kind. Marcus scrolled through dozens of interactions. Charlotte helping an elderly man read the menu when he'd forgotten his glasses. Charlotte speaking Spanish with a family who looked nervous and out of place. Charlotte staying an extra hour after a shift to help a new server learn the point-of-sale system. He switched to tonight's footage. Watched the entire interaction with Table 7. Vivian had been dismissive from the moment she sat down. Barely looked at Charlotte. Sent back food that was perfectly prepared. Complained about refills that came exactly on time. Then, the wine moment. Charlotte's correction had been soft, polite, barely noticeable. But Vivian's reaction had been immediate, hostile. Marcus watched Charlotte's face. She'd known in that moment, had recognized she'd made an enemy, had tried to smooth it over. But Vivian had already decided to destroy her. His phone buzzed. Email from Jennifer. Preliminary report attached. Full details in 8 minutes. Marcus opened the attachment. Vivian Ashford, real estate heiress. Net worth $47 million. Instagram influencer. 487K followers. 18 complaints filed against restaurants in Charleston area past 2 years. 7 resulted in comped meals, staff terminations, or settlement payments. Pattern indicates systematic fraud. Marcus's jaw tightened. He scrolled down. Charlotte Hayes, age 34. Former paralegal Morrison and Cross Legal Group, Atlanta. Specialized in corporate law, merger documentation. License suspended 2021. Investigation into document tampering. Cleared of criminal charges 2022, but professional reputation damaged. No license reinstatement. Currently employed Sterling Heights restaurant for years. Marcus stopped reading. Looked up. Charlotte Hayes had been a paralegal. Corporate law. Document specialist. That explained everything. The precision. The statute references. The unshakable composure under pressure. She'd lost her career. Probably lost everything. And now Vivian Ashford was trying to take away what little she'd rebuilt. Marcus stood up. Left cash on his table. Walked toward the scene unfolding near the kitchen. Trevor was steering Charlotte toward his office when Marcus approached. Excuse me. Trevor turned. His eyes widened. Mr. Westfield, I didn't realize you were dining with us tonight. Marcus ignored him. Looked at Charlotte. Are you all right? Charlotte's composure cracked. Just slightly. Just enough for Marcus to see the fear underneath. I'm fine, sir. Thank you. You're Charlotte Hayes. Yes. You handled that situation with remarkable professionalism. Charlotte's eyes glistened. She blinked hard. Thank you. But I still shouldn't have engaged. I should have just... Her voice broke. She stopped. Marcus studied her face. Saw exhaustion. Saw fear. Saw someone barely holding together. How long have you worked here? He asked. For years. You enjoy the work? Charlotte's laugh was hollow. I enjoy eating. Having a roof over my head. Taking care of my daughter. Your daughter's sick. Charlotte's head snapped up. How did you? You took a phone call last week. During your break. I overheard something about a surgery. For a moment, Charlotte just stared at him. Then her shoulders sagged. She needs a procedure. It's not life-threatening, but it needs to happen soon. I've been saving. But the deposit is... She stopped. Shook her head. I'm sorry. You don't need to hear this. I think I do, Marcus said quietly. Trevor cleared his throat. Mr. Westfield, I really need to speak with Charlotte about tonight's incident. You're not firing her. Trevor blinked. I'm sorry? Charlotte Hayes. You're not terminating her employment. Marcus's voice was calm. Final. In fact, I'd like to speak with her privately. Your office. Now. But, Ms. Ashford said. Ms. Ashford doesn't own this restaurant. Marcus looked at Trevor. I do. The color drained from Trevor's face. You what? I own Sterling Heights. I own all 12 locations of the Westfield Restaurant Group. Marcus turned back to Charlotte. Shall we talk? Charlotte's world spun. The mysterious, regular customer, who asked strange questions, who watched everyone. He was the owner, the billionaire owner, and he wanted to talk to her. Trevor's office was cramped. White walls, metal desk, 2 chairs. Marcus closed the door. Charlotte stood with her back straight, her hands clasped in front of her. Before anyone could speak, someone knocked. Trevor opened the door. Raymond stood there. His chef's whites were splattered with sauce. I need to say something. Trevor frowned. Raymond, this isn't. I saw what happened. Raymond looked at Charlotte, then at Marcus. I saw the whole thing through the kitchen window. That woman, Vivian, she set Charlotte up. Charlotte's breath caught. What? I was prepping desserts near the pass. Had a clear view of table 7. Raymond pulled out his phone. I took a video. Wasn't sure why at the time, but something felt wrong. He turned the screen. Press play. The footage was shaky, shot through the kitchen window. But it was clear enough. Vivian, sitting at the table. Her friends were talking. Vivian wasn't listening. She pulled out her phone, took photos of her plate from different angles. Then she picked up her wine glass, looked around to see if anyone was watching, and deliberately tipped it. Red wine spilled across the white tablecloth, onto her cream silk dress. She smiled, then immediately schooled her expression into anger. Charlotte felt dizzy. She spilled it on purpose. That's not all, Raymond said. After you took the first entree back, I watched her wait until you left. Then she used her fork to move the food around, made it look barely touched. She never even tasted it the second time. Just sent it back. Marcus's jaw was tight. Why didn't you say something earlier? Raymond looked uncomfortable. I wasn't sure what I was seeing. And Vivian Ashford, she's connected. Rich. Powerful. I'm just a sous chef. Who'd believe me? I believe you, Marcus said quietly. The door opened again. This time it was Sarah, one of the evening servers. Behind her was Monica. Both looked nervous. Mr. Westfield? Sarah's voice shook. Raymond texted us about what happened with Charlotte and Vivian Ashford. We need to tell you something. Trevor made an impatient sound. Can this wait? No, Marcus said. It can't. What do you need to tell me? Sarah stepped forward. Vivian did the same thing to me. 3 months ago. Different complaint, but the same pattern. She demanded I be fired. Trevor suspended me for a week. Charlotte turned to look at Trevor. He wouldn't meet her eyes. Monica spoke up. She did it to me too. Last year. I wasn't fired, but she got her meal comped, and I lost 2 weeks of shifts as punishment. There's more, Sarah said. I talked to my friend Jessica. She works at Harbor Grill. Vivian pulled the exact same scam there. Got the manager fired. Jessica said she's done it all over Charleston. At least 7 restaurants this year. 8. A voice said from the doorway. An older woman stood there. Charlotte recognized her. Mrs. Eleanor Patterson. She came in every Tuesday for the early bird special. Always ordered the same thing. Always left a generous tip. Eleanor walked into the office. She was small, maybe 5 feet tall. Gray hair pulled back in a neat bun. But her voice was steel. I've lived in Charleston 67 years. I know everyone. And I know Vivian Ashford's reputation. She targets certain types of servers. Young women, single mothers, people who can't afford to fight back. Charlotte's throat closed. How did you? I pay attention, honey. I see things. Eleanor looked at Marcus. Vivian picks her victims carefully. She researches them, finds their vulnerabilities. Then she exploits them. It's not about the money. It's about power. Charlotte left Trevor's office 2 hours later. Her head was spinning. Marcus had asked her questions. Lots of questions. About tonight. About her background. About why she'd handled Vivian the way she had. She'd answered honestly. What choice did she have? Now she walked to her locker, changed out of her uniform. Her phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Chun. Lily's fine. Sleeping. Don't worry about time. Take care of yourself. Charlotte's hands shook as she typed back. Thank you. Home soon. Another buzz. Different number. Unknown. She opened it. The message had no words. Just a link. Charlotte clicked it. Charleston Restaurant Association website. Official complaint form. Filed at 11:47 p.m. Complainant. Vivian Ashford. Respondent. Charlotte Hayes, Sterling Heights Restaurant. Charlotte's vision blurred. She scrolled down. The complaint was detailed. Professional. Vivian claimed Charlotte had been hostile, aggressive, and appeared intoxicated during service. Vivian demanded an ethics hearing. Wanted Charlotte permanently banned from working in any Charleston Restaurant Association establishment. That was over 300 restaurants. Every major dining location in the city. Charlotte's phone buzzed again. Another text. Different unknown number. Ms. Hayes, this is Carol Simmons with South Carolina Department of Social Services. We received a report that you may have been working while intoxicated in the presence of minors. We need to schedule an interview regarding your daughter Lily's living situation. Please call our office Monday morning. Charlotte couldn't breathe. Her chest was tight. Her vision tunneled. They were threatening custody. Vivian was threatening to take Lily away. Another buzz. Email this time. From Palmetto Property Management. Subject. Urgent tenant investigation. Ms. Hayes. We received a report of illegal activity at your residence. Unit 3B, 247, Morrison Street. Multiple witnesses claim suspicious persons entering and leaving your apartment at unusual hours. We are conducting an immediate investigation. Building management will perform an inspection Monday, 9 a.m. Your presence is required. Failure to comply will result in immediate eviction proceedings per your lease agreement. Section 7.3. Charlotte slid down the wall, sat on the floor. Her phone dropped from her hand. This wasn't just about losing her job. Vivian was systematically destroying her entire life. Job, custody, housing, everything. And there was nothing Charlotte could do. She had $127 in the bank. No lawyer, no power, no connections. Raymond found her 10 minutes later, sitting on the floor, staring at nothing. Charlotte? He crouched beside her. What happened? She couldn't speak, just handed him her phone. Raymond scrolled through the messages. His face darkened. That evil, he stopped, took a breath. Okay. We need to talk to Mr. Westfield. He can't help. Charlotte's voice was hollow. This is bigger than a restaurant dispute. Vivian's going after my daughter, my home, everything. Then we fight. With what? Charlotte looked at him. I'm a waitress, Raymond. I have nothing. She has millions. She has lawyers. She has power. You have documentation. Charlotte blinked. What? You told Mr. Westfield about your legal background, about how you document everything. Raymond pulled her to her feet. You still do that, right? Still keep notes? Charlotte's mind was moving slowly. Shock made everything fuzzy. But then she remembered the small notebook, the one she kept in her apron pocket, for years of notes. Every shift, every customer interaction, every complaint, every resolution, legal notation, timestamps, details. She kept documentation on everything, including Vivian Ashford. Charlotte's locker was still open. She reached to the top shelf, past her spare uniform, past a red folder containing her paralegal certificate. Her fingers found the small black notebook, spiral-bound, worn at the edges. She carried it back to Trevor's office. Marcus was still there, talking on his phone. He looked up when she entered. I need to show you something, Charlotte said. Marcus ended his call. What is it? Charlotte set the notebook on the desk. Open it. The pages were filled with small, precise handwriting. dates, times, table numbers, customer names when she knew them, descriptions when she didn't. I document every shift, Charlotte said. It's habit from my paralegal training. I record significant interactions, complaints, resolutions, witness observations. Marcus picked up the notebook, flipped through pages. His eyes widened. This is 4 years of documentation. 4 years, 2 months, 17 days. Charlotte's voice was steady now, focused. I started the first day I worked here. I learned the hard way that memory isn't reliable in disputes. Documentation is everything. She turned to a page marked with a sticky note. October 18, Table 7. Customer, Vivian Ashford. First visit. Arrived 7:15 p.m. Party of 4. Initial behavior. Dismissive but standard for high-end clientele. Ordered wine. I corrected pronunciation. Customer response. Immediate hostility. Charlotte's finger moved down the page. Customer sent entree back twice. First complaint, temperature. Kitchen verified internal temp was 142 degrees. Within acceptable range. Second complaint, over-seasoning. Kitchen confirmed standard recipe. No deviation. Marcus was reading over her shoulder. You recorded exact temperatures? I always verify complaints with kitchen staff, then document their responses. Charlotte flipped forward. Customer refused payment. Cited unacceptable service. No specific examples provided. Manager Trevor Morrison comp meal. Total loss, $847.32. Customer threatened social media retaliation. Manager suspended me pending investigation. She looked up at Marcus. That's tonight. But it's not the first time I've documented her. Charlotte turned back several pages. August 3rd, Vivian Ashford. Party of 3. Similar pattern. Complained about water temperature. Demanded different table. Sent back appetizer. Threatened 1-star review. Manager comped appetizers. Total loss, $67. More pages. June 22nd. Vivian Ashford. Party of 2. Complained about wait time despite having reservation. Claimed food was cold. Kitchen verified temperature. Customer demanded meal be comped. Trevor complied. Total loss, $234. She's been doing this for months, Marcus said slowly. At my restaurant. Not just yours. Charlotte pulled out her phone, opened her notes app. I cross-reference with other service industry workers. We have a private group. We warn each other about problem customers. She showed him the screen. A chat thread titled Charleston Service Worker Support. Charlotte scrolled through messages. Sarah from Harbor Grill reported Vivian in March. Same pattern. Fake complaint. Meal comped. Staff member fired. Jessica from Palmetto Cafe reported her in April. Monica from here reported her in February. Marcus took the phone. Read through the messages. His expression was hard. How many restaurants? In Charleston? At least 7 that I can confirm. Maybe more. Charlotte took back her phone. But here's what's interesting. Vivian targets specific servers. Single mothers. Younger women. People with legal or financial vulnerabilities. How do you know about their vulnerabilities? Charlotte met his eyes. Because she researches them. Look, she pulled up Vivian's Instagram. Scrolled to a post from 3 weeks ago. A photo of Sterling Heights. The caption read, checking out Charleston's finest dining. Due diligence is everything. Hashtag luxury lifestyle, hashtag Charleston eats, hashtag know your history. Due diligence, Charlotte repeated. That's legal terminology. She investigates her targets before she attacks them. Marcus's jaw tightened. She researched you. She found out about my paralegal background, my suspended license, my legal troubles. Charlotte's voice was bitter. She knew I'd document everything. That's why she escalated. She's trying to destroy my credibility before I can use my evidence. She closed the notebook, but she made a mistake. What mistake? Charlotte's eyes were cold. She assumed I was alone, that I'd be too scared to fight back, that no one would believe a disgraced paralegal turned waitress. She looked at Marcus. She didn't count on you. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone, typed something, hit send, looked back at Charlotte. I need you stay, he said. We need to prepare A formal witness statement. Document everything that happened tonight. Your legal background makes you qualified to provide testimony that will hold up under scrutiny. Charlotte glanced at the clock. 1:23 a.m. I need to get home to my daughter. I'll have my driver take you after we finish. Marcus gestured to the chair. Please, sit. Charlotte sat. Her body ached. 8 hours on her feet. 2 hours of emotional trauma. She was exhausted. Marcus sat across from her. For a moment, he just looked at her. Then he said, my father was a dishwasher. Charlotte blinked. What? My father. Antonio Westfield. He washed dishes at a restaurant in Colombia. Worked there 32 years. Came home every night smelling like bleach and grease. Marcus's voice was soft. He died when I was 19. Heart attack. Brought on by decades of stress and standing on concrete floors and breathing chemical fumes. Charlotte didn't know what to say. I worked in that kitchen, Marcus continued. Summers during high school. Weekends during college. I saw how customers treated staff. Like they were invisible. Like they didn't matter. His blue eyes were intense. I built my restaurant empire on one principle, dignity. Everyone who works for me deserves respect. From customers, from management, from me. Then why did Trevor? Trevor's new. He came with good references. But he doesn't understand the culture I'm trying to build. Marcus leaned forward. I've been visiting my restaurants anonymously for 3 months. Watching, assessing, looking for problems. And you found them. I found something else. Marcus held her gaze. I found exceptional people being mistreated. People with intelligence and skill and dedication working jobs that don't reflect their capabilities. Charlotte's throat tightened. I'm just a waitress. You're a trained paralegal with expertise in corporate law who's been documenting systematic fraud for 4 years. Marcus's voice was firm. You're someone who maintained professional composure while being publicly humiliated. Someone who cited legal statutes from memory. Someone who protected my business reputation even while losing your job. I didn't protect anything. I made everything worse. No, Vivian Ashford made everything worse. You exposed her. Marcus pulled out a business card. Set it on the desk. I want to offer you a position. Director of Service Excellence. You'd oversee customer experience across all 12 of my restaurants. Salary, benefits, legal support. Charlotte stared at the card, then at Marcus. You're offering me a job while I'm being investigated, while Vivian is trying to destroy me. I'm offering you a job because you're exactly the kind of person I want leading my team. Marcus's expression was serious. But first we fight together. The office door opened. Eleanor Patterson stood there. Behind her were 6 other people. Charlotte recognized them. Regular customers. People she'd served for years. We heard what happened, Eleanor said. The whole restaurant heard. We're not letting this stand. A tall black man in his 70s stepped forward. James Crawford. He came in every Sunday after church. Always ordered the salmon. Always left a $20 tip. Charlotte Hayes is the best server in Charleston. She helped my wife and me when we were visiting from Germany last year. Spoke perfect German. Made us feel welcome. A younger woman in business attire spoke next. I'm Rebecca Moss. I've been coming here twice a month for 3 years. Last winter, Charlotte paid for my meal when my credit card was declined. Told me to pay her back when I could. I tried to give her the money the next week. She wouldn't take it. Said to pass on the kindness. She bought my mother's medication. A man in his 40s said. Twice. Mom has diabetes. Charlotte noticed her blood sugar was dropping. Called an ambulance. Then went to the pharmacy and paid for her insulin out of her own pocket. $400. Never asked for it back. Eleanor pulled out a folder. Handed it to Marcus. I made some calls. Got statements from 17 regular customers. All willing to testify on Charlotte's behalf. All with specific examples of her character, competence, and professionalism. Charlotte couldn't speak. Her eyes burnt. There's more, Eleanor said. She looked at Charlotte. Smiled gently. Honey, you think we don't notice? You've been taking care of this community for 4 years. Now it's our turn to take care of you. James nodded. Whatever you need. Character witnesses. Testimony. Legal fees. You just say the word. Marcus looked at Charlotte. then at the group of customers filling his office. This is what I was talking about. Dignity, respect, community. He turned to Eleanor. Thank you. All of you will need those statements tomorrow for the ethics hearing. Eleanor's smile was sharp. We'll be ready. Charlotte didn't sleep that night. She sat at her kitchen table with her notebook, her phone, her laptop, preparing. At 6 a.m., her phone rang. Unknown number. Ms. Hayes? This is Richard Brennan. I'm the director of the Charleston Restaurant Association. His voice was formal, cold. We've received a formal complaint regarding your conduct at Sterling Heights Restaurant. An emergency ethics hearing has been scheduled for 10 a.m. today at our headquarters. Your presence is required. Charlotte's stomach dropped. Today, I haven't received any formal notification. The complaint was filed under expedited review due to the severity of the allegations. You have the right to bring representation. You have the right to present evidence. But the hearing will proceed with or without you. He paused. I should inform you that the complainant has retained legal counsel. I suggest you do the same. The call ended. Charlotte stared at her phone. 4 hours. She had 4 hours to prepare a defense against a wealthy woman with lawyers and social media influence and unlimited resources. Her phone rang again. This time she recognized the number. Marcus. Did they call you? He asked. Yes. 10 a.m. I'm sending my attorney, Margaret Chin. She specializes in employment law and fraud cases. She's the best. Marcus's voice was calm, steady. Don't go alone, Charlotte. Let me help. Charlotte wanted to argue, wanted to say she could handle this herself. But she couldn't. She was drowning. Okay, thank you. We'll meet you there, 9:30. Don't worry. But Charlotte was worrying, because at 6:47 a.m., she got another call. This time from Mrs. Chin next door. Charlotte, there are people outside your building. They have cameras. Charlotte went to her window, looked down. A news van, 2 reporters, someone with a professional camera. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Check Vivian's Instagram. Charlotte opened the app. Vivian had posted 20 minutes ago. The post showed a photo of Sterling Heights. The caption read, "Important update. Last night, I was verbally assaulted by an aggressive, possibly intoxicated server at this establishment. When I requested to speak with management, she threatened me with false legal accusations. I've filed formal complaints with the Restaurant Association and Social Services. Women like this should not be around children or customers. Charleston deserves better. Hashtag justice, hashtag service industry abuse, hashtag protect our community, hashtag Charleston strong." The post had 12,000 likes, 3,400 comments. It had been shared 847 times. Charlotte scrolled through the comments. Most were supportive of Vivian, calling Charlotte terrible names, demanding she be fired, banned, arrested, but some comments were different. I worked at Harbor Grill. Vivian did the same thing to me. This is a pattern. She pulled the scam at Palmetto Cafe, got 2 servers fired. I'm a regular at Sterling Heights. Charlotte Hayes is a saint. This is a lie. The supportive comments were being drowned out, deleted. Vivian's followers were vicious. At 7:15 a.m., Charlotte's phone rang again. Social Services. Ms. Hayes, due to the public nature of the allegations against you, we're moving up our investigation. An agent will arrive at your residence at 8 a.m. to interview you and assess your daughter's living conditions. Please ensure you're available. Charlotte looked at Lily, still sleeping in her bed, clutching her rabbit. Innocent, safe. Vivian was trying to take her away. At 8 a.m., a woman in a gray suit arrived. She showed identification. Andrea Wilson, Child Protective Services. She asked questions, looked through the apartment, spoke with Lily. Charlotte answered everything calmly, professionally, but inside she was screaming. At 9 a.m., Charlotte put on her only professional outfit, a black blazer, gray slacks, white blouse. She hadn't worn them since her paralegal days. They still fit, barely. She packed her notebook, her documentation, her phone with screenshots. Then she kissed Lily goodbye, told Mrs. Chun she'd be back soon, and headed to the Charleston Restaurant Association headquarters to fight for her life. Charlotte arrived at the Charleston Restaurant Association building at 9:32 a.m. The headquarters was downtown, a restored historic building with white columns and brick facades. The parking lot had news vans, reporters. Charlotte kept her head down, walked to the entrance. Inside, the receptionist directed her to conference room B, second floor. Charlotte climbed the stairs. Her legs felt weak. The door was open. She walked in. Vivian sat at a large table. She wore a navy dress, pearl earrings. Her hair was perfect. Next to her sat a man in an expensive suit, her lawyer. Behind them were three young women. Charlotte didn't recognize them. Across the table sat Richard Brennan, the association director, two other board members, a court reporter. No Marcus, no attorney. Charlotte's heart sank. She was alone. "Ms. Hayes," Brennan said, "please sit. We're waiting for..." The door opened. Trevor walked in. He looked uncomfortable. He wouldn't meet Charlotte's eyes. "Mr. Morrison," Brennan said, "thank you for coming. As the restaurant manager, your testimony is crucial." Trevor sat down on Vivian's side of a table. Charlotte felt sick. "Where's your representation?" Brennan asked Charlotte. "They said they'd be here." Her voice sounded small, weak. Vivian's lawyer checked his watch. "Director Brennan, it's 9:58. Perhaps we should begin. My client has a busy schedule." Brennan looked at Charlotte. "Ms. Hayes, do you wish to proceed without counsel?" Charlotte wanted to say no, wanted to walk out. But if she left, she'd lose by default. "I'll wait 5 more minutes." "We'll give you 3, Brennan said. The clock ticked. 9:59, 10 o'clock, 10:01. No Marcus. No attorney. No help. Charlotte's throat tightened. She'd been stupid to trust him. Marcus Westfield was a billionaire. He had 12 restaurants, a reputation to protect. Why would he risk everything for a waitress? He'd probably realized that defending her wasn't worth the PR nightmare. Vivian had 500,000 followers, media coverage, power. Charlotte was nothing, nobody, a disgraced paralegal with a suspended license and a daughter to feed. "Very well," Brennan said. "Let's begin. Ms. Ashford, please state your complaint for the record." Vivian leaned forward. Her expression was sympathetic. "Hurt. Last night, I dined at Sterling Heights restaurant. I had a lovely evening until the server, Charlotte Hayes, became hostile toward me." Charlotte gripped her notebook. Her knuckles were white. "She corrected my pronunciation in front of my guests," Vivian continued, "embarrassing me, making me feel small. When I politely addressed the issue, she became aggressive, threatened me with legal action, accused me of fraud. Her behavior was erratic, unstable. I believe she may have been intoxicated." Lies. All lies. Charlotte opened her mouth to speak. The door burst open. Marcus Westfield walked in. Behind him was a woman in a charcoal suit carrying a briefcase. Behind her was a man with a laptop and portable projector. "Apologies for the delay," Marcus said calmly. "Traffic." Brennan frowned. "And you are?" "Marcus Westfield, owner of Sterling Heights Restaurant and 11 other establishments in your association." He pulled out a chair next to Charlotte, sat down. "This is Margaret Chin, Ms. Hayes' attorney, and David Park, our digital forensics specialist." Vivian's face paled, just slightly. Margaret set her briefcase on the table. "Open it. Director Brennan, before we proceed with Ms. Ashford's testimony, I'd like to present evidence that directly contradicts her allegations." "That's highly irregular," Vivian's lawyer said. "The complainant has the right to present her case first, and the respondent has the right to defend herself," Margaret countered. "Given that Ms. Ashford has already conducted a public smear campaign via social media, I think fairness demands we examine the facts." Brennan considered. "I'll allow it, but keep it brief." David set up the projector, connected his laptop. The white wall lit up with an image. Security camera footage. Time-stamped. 7:15 p.m. "This is footage from Sterling Heights Restaurant," David said. "Last night, we have comprehensive coverage of the dining room from 6 different angles." The footage played. Vivian's arrival, Charlotte's greeting, the entire meal, every interaction. David narrated. 7:19 p.m. "Ms. Hayes takes drink orders. Professional demeanor." 7:24 p.m. "Wine delivered." 7:41 p.m. First course served. No issues. 8:16 p.m. Entrees delivered. He paused the footage. 8:22 p.m. Note Ms. Ashford's behavior. She's not eating. She's photographing her food from multiple angles. The footage showed exactly what Raymond had described. Vivian with her phone, taking pictures, then deliberately tipping her wine glass. Charlotte heard someone gasp. One of the board members. 8:23 p.m. David continued. Ms. Ashford spills wine on herself. Appears deliberate. Note her expression before the spill. Calculating. After the spill. She immediately signals distress. More footage. Vivian sending back her entree. The kitchen preparing a new plate. Vivian barely touching it before sending it back again. At no point, David said, did Ms. Hayes behave erratically, aggressively, or unprofessionally. In fact, her composure under increasing provocation is remarkable. Margaret opened a folder, slid documents across the table. This is a report compiled by our legal team. Ms. Vivian Ashford has filed similar complaints at 7 Charleston restaurants in the past 18 months. Each incident follows the same pattern. Manufactured complaint. Demand for comped meal and staff termination. Threat of social media retaliation. She slid more papers. At Harbor Grill March, Ms. Ashford claimed her food was cold. Kitchen temperature logs prove it was served at 165 degrees. She received a comped meal totaling $387. The server was fired. At Palmetto Cafe in April, similar incident. Comped meal for $112. Server fired. At Riverside Bistro in June. This is irrelevant, Vivian's lawyer interrupted. My client's behavior at other establishments has no bearing on last night's incident. It establishes pattern and motive, Margaret said coolly. Ms. Ashford has systematically defrauded Charleston restaurants. Total documented losses exceed $43,000. That's felony fraud. Vivian stood up. This is ridiculous. I'm a victim here. She threatened me. With legal consequences for theft of services, Margaret interrupted, which is Ms. Hayes's right as a citizen, particularly relevant, given her background as a paralegal specializing in corporate fraud. She looked at Brennan. Ms. Hayes documented every aspect of last night's interaction. Her notes are meticulous. Legal standard notation, timestamps, witnesses, and she's not alone. We have 17 customer statements attesting to her character, competence, and professionalism. We have staff testimony. We have forensic evidence. Margaret leaned forward. Ms. Ashford's complaint isn't about poor service. It's retaliation because Ms. Hayes recognized her fraud pattern and refused to be intimidated. The room was silent. Brennan looked at the security footage, still frozen on the wall, at Vivian caught in the act of spilling wine on herself. Then he looked at Vivian. Ms. Ashford, would you like to respond to these allegations? Vivian's lawyer touched her arm. Don't say anything. But Vivian wasn't listening. Her face was flushed, angry. This is absurd. I'm a respected member of this community. I have nearly 500,000 followers. People trust my judgment. People trust a carefully curated image, Margaret said. But images lie. Evidence doesn't. The door opened again. Eleanor Patterson walked in. Behind her were James Crawford, Rebecca Moss, and 8 other people. Regular customers, all carrying folders. Who are these people? Brennan asked. Character witnesses, Marcus said. All regular patrons of Sterling Heights. All willing to testify on Ms. Hayes' behalf. Eleanor stepped forward. Didn't wait for permission to speak. I've lived in Charleston 67 years. I've watched this city change. I've watched people like Vivian Ashford abuse their privilege and destroy good people who can't fight back. She looked at Brennan. Charlotte Hayes is one of the best people in the city. She works hard, treats everyone with respect, helps people who need it. I've seen her pay for customers' meals when their cards were declined. I've seen her stay late to help elderly patrons to their cars. I've seen her speak for different languages to make tourists feel welcome. James spoke next. My wife and I travel extensively. We've dined at Michelin-starred restaurants across Europe. Charlotte Hayes provides better service than trained sommeliers in Paris. Better hospitality than 5-star establishments in Tokyo. She's overqualified for her position, but she does it with grace. Rebecca added, "Last December, my car broke down. I was stranded outside the restaurant in freezing rain. Charlotte let me borrow her car, her only car, so I could get to my daughter's school play. I was a stranger. She trusted me anyway." One by one, the witnesses shared stories. Charlotte listening patiently to a widower's grief. Charlotte calling an ambulance when a customer showed stroke symptoms. Charlotte breaking up a fight between drunk patrons without security help. By the time they finished, 2 board members were wiping their eyes. Margaret pulled out one more document. "We also discovered something interesting about Ms. Ashford's pattern. She targets specific servers, single mothers, young women with legal troubles, people with financial vulnerabilities." She looked at Vivian. "You researched Charlotte Hayes before you came to the restaurant. Found out about her suspended paralegal license, her legal background. You knew she'd document everything. That's why you escalated so quickly. You wanted to destroy her credibility before she could use her evidence against you." Vivian's lawyer stood. "Director Brennan, my client wishes to withdraw her complaint." "Too late," Margaret said. "We're filing criminal charges. Fraud, extortion, theft of services. The Charleston Police Department is already investigating, and we're filing civil suits on behalf of 7 restaurants your client has defrauded." Vivian's face crumbled. For the first time, she looked scared. Brennan stood. "This hearing is temporarily recessed. I need to consult with the board." He gestured to the other board members. They left the room. The door closed behind them. Vivian's lawyer was on his phone, talking urgently, probably calling backup counsel. Vivian sat frozen. Her perfect makeup couldn't hide the panic in her eyes. Marcus leaned toward Charlotte. "You okay?" Charlotte nodded. She didn't trust her voice. Eleanor squeezed her shoulder. "You did good, honey." The door opened. 2 uniformed police officers walked in. Behind them was a detective in a plain suit. "Vivian Ashford?" the detective said. Vivian looked up. "Yes. I'm Detective Sarah Morrison, Charleston PD, Fraud Division. We'd like to ask you some questions regarding complaints filed at multiple Charleston establishments. You're not under arrest, but we strongly suggest you cooperate." Vivian's lawyer stepped forward. "My client won't be answering questions without." "She doesn't have to answer now," Detective Morrison said. "But we have warrants for financial records, social media data, security footage from 7 restaurants. This is happening whether she cooperates or not." The door opened again. Brennan returned. His expression was grim. "After reviewing the evidence, the Charleston Restaurant Association finds no merit to Ms. Ashford's complaint. Ms. Hayes is cleared of all allegations. Furthermore, we're suspending Ms. Ashford's membership pending criminal investigation." He looked at Vivian. "You're banned from all association establishments until this is resolved. If you're found guilty of fraud, that ban becomes permanent." Vivian stood. Her hands shook. "You're making a mistake. I have influence, followers, power. You have a criminal investigation," Brennan said quietly, "and a community that's tired of your abuse. Get out." Vivian grabbed her purse, looked at Charlotte. For a moment, their eyes met. Vivian's expression was pure hatred. "This isn't over." "Yes," Charlotte said softly. "It is." Vivian left, her lawyer trailing behind. The police followed. The room was silent. Then James started clapping. Eleanor joined. Then Rebecca. Then Marcus. Then everyone. Charlotte stood there, surrounded by people who believed her, defended her, fought for her. She'd won. Against impossible odds. She'd actually won. The conference room cleared. Board members filed back in. Brennan took a seat. His expression was unreadable. Charlotte's hands were shaking. She pressed them flat against the table. For years of documentation sat in front of her. Her notebook, her evidence, her truth. But would it be enough? Vivian looked confident. Her lawyer whispered something in her ear. She nodded, smiled slightly, like she'd already won. Maybe she had. Charlotte was a waitress. Vivian was Charleston society. Money, influence. 500,000 Instagram followers who believed every word she posted. Brennan cleared his throat. "Before we make our decision, I want to give Ms. Hayes an opportunity to present her defense. Charlotte stood. Her legs felt unsteady. She picked up her notebook, opened it to the marked page. I've worked in Charleston's service industry for 4 years, Charlotte said. Her voice was quiet but steady. I've served thousands of customers. I've handled difficult situations, complaints, confrontations. I've never been written up, never been suspended, never had a formal complaint filed against me. She turned the notebook so everyone could see. I document every shift. It's habit from my previous career. I was a paralegal. Corporate law. I learned that memory fails, but written records don't. Vivian's lawyer leaned forward. Your Honor, Director Brennan, Ms. Hayes' previous career is irrelevant. She was suspended from that profession due to ethical violations. I was cleared of all charges, Charlotte interrupted. Her voice was sharp now, angry. I was framed by a senior partner who needed a scapegoat. It took 8 months to prove my innocence. By then, my reputation was destroyed. My career was over. I lost everything. She looked at Vivian. You researched me, found out about my legal troubles, thought I'd be an easy target, someone who wouldn't fight back, someone who'd been discredited before. That's absurd, Vivian said. I had no idea who you were. You posted on Instagram 3 weeks ago. Due diligence is everything. That's legal terminology. You investigate your targets before you attack them. Charlotte's eyes were cold. You chose me specifically because of my background, because you thought no one would believe a disgraced paralegal over a Charleston socialite. She turned back to Brennan. But I have documentation, timestamps, witness statements, video evidence from kitchen staff, and I have a pattern. Ms. Ashford has done this at 7 other Charleston restaurants. Always the same method. Manufactured complaint, demand for comp meal, threat of social media destruction. Charlotte slid her notebook across the table. This is 4 years of evidence. Every interaction I've documented, including 3 previous encounters with Ms. Ashford at Sterling Heights. Each time, she created false complaints. Each time, management gave in to her demands. Vivian stood up. Her face was red. I will not sit here and be accused by hired help. Sit down, Ms. Ashford, Brennan said quietly. Vivian's mouth opened, closed. She sat. Charlotte kept going. I'm not just a waitress. I'm someone who spent a decade studying law. Someone who knows how to build a case. Someone who documents everything. She looked at Vivian. You picked the wrong target. The room was silent. Then Vivian's lawyer stood. Director Brennan, these are serious accusations. We demand proof, real evidence, not just the biased testimony of a disgruntled employee. Brennan looked at Charlotte. Do you have additional evidence? Charlotte's heart sank. Her documentation wasn't enough. She'd known it might not be. Word against word. Her credibility against Vivian's influence. The door opened. Marcus walked in. I have evidence, Marcus said. Everyone turned. Brennan frowned. Mr. Westfield, this hearing is for determining whether Ms. Hayes violated professional standards. Marcus set his laptop on the table. I own Sterling Heights. I have a vested interest in the truth. He opened the laptop, turned it toward Brennan. This is 6 months of security footage. Every camera angle, every customer interaction. I had my forensics team compile footage specifically of Ms. Ashford's visits. The screen showed a split view, for different angles, for different dates, all showing Vivian at Sterling Heights. Marcus narrated. March 12th, Ms. Ashford complained about water temperature. No basis. April 8th, complained about wait time despite having a reservation. No basis. June 22nd, sent back food, claiming it was cold. Kitchen temperature logs showed 165 degrees. Last night, deliberately spilled wine on herself after photographing her meal. Vivian's lawyer stood. Where did you get this footage? This is a violation of privacy. South Carolina is a one-party consent state for recording. Marcus said calmly. Restaurants are public spaces. Every customer signs acknowledgement of security cameras when they make reservations. This is legal. He pulled up another document. This is a financial analysis conducted by my legal team. Ms. Ashford has filed complaints at 7 Charleston restaurants in 18 months. Total comp meals, $23,847. Additionally, she filed 3 insurance claims against restaurants citing emotional distress. Settlement payoffs, $19,200. She's also received payment from 4 restaurants to remove negative reviews. Total, approximately $43,000 in fraudulent gains. The board members leaned forward, staring at the screen. Margaret stood. We also have testimony from 17 current employees and former employees of Charleston restaurants. All report identical patterns. Ms. Ashford targets specific servers, single mothers, young women, people with financial vulnerabilities. She researches them, finds their weak points, then exploits them. She slid a folder across the table. These are sworn statements, notarized, legal documentation that Ms. Ashford has systematically defrauded Charleston's restaurant industry. Vivian's face had gone pale. Her hands gripped the table edge. Furthermore, Margaret continued, we've contacted the Charleston Police Department Fraud Division. Detective Sarah Morrison is currently reviewing the evidence. Criminal charges are likely. Brennan looked at the documents, at the footage frozen on the laptop screen, at Vivian. Ms. Ashford, would you like to respond to these allegations? Vivian's lawyer touched her arm, shook his head. My client invokes her Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. We're withdrawing the complaint against Ms. Hayes. Too late, Brennan said. His voice was hard. Based on this evidence, I'm recommending Ms. Ashford be permanently banned from all Charleston Restaurant Association establishments. And I'm forwarding this evidence to law enforcement. He looked at Charlotte. Ms. Hayes, you're cleared of all allegations. I apologize for what you've endured. Marcus turned to Charlotte. The room was still watching, waiting. Charlotte Hayes, he said formally. I've been observing Sterling Heights for 3 months, watching operations, assessing staff, looking for problems to fix and excellence to promote. Charlotte's breath caught. I've watched you serve with grace, intelligence, and unwavering professionalism. You speak multiple languages. You understand wine like a sommelier. You document interactions like an attorney. You handle crisis situations with composure that most managers lack. Marcus's voice was warm, genuine. You're overqualified to be a server. You always have been. He pulled out a document, set it on the table. I'm offering you a position, Director of Service Excellence for Westfield Restaurant Group. You'd oversee customer experience standards across all 12 of our locations, develop training programs, handle high-level complaints, ensure that every employee is treated with the dignity and respect they deserve. Charlotte stared at the paper, her vision blurred. The salary is $120,000 annually, Marcus continued. Full benefits, health care that covers your daughter's surgery, and a $25,000 signing bonus. Paid immediately, so Lily can have her procedure without delay. Charlotte's hands covered her mouth. She couldn't speak. You've proven you understand service at the highest level. You document everything with legal precision. You stand up for what's right even when it costs you everything. Marcus extended his hand. I'd be honored to have you on my team. Charlotte looked at his hand, at the contract on the table, at the room full of people watching this moment. 6 hours ago, she'd been a waitress facing termination, eviction, loss of custody. Now she was being offered a corporate position, security, health care for Lily, a future. She took Marcus's hand. Yes, thank you. Yes. The room erupted in applause. Eleanor was crying. James was grinning. Raymond pumped his fist. Charlotte had won, not just the hearing, everything. Brennan stood. This hearing is concluded. Ms. Hayes is cleared of all charges. Her record with the Charleston Restaurant Association remains spotless. He looked at Vivian. Ms. Ashford, you're banned from all association establishments effective immediately. This ban is permanent pending resolution of criminal charges. Vivian's lawyer gathered papers. We'll appeal this decision. Appeal all you want, Brennan said. The evidence speaks for itself. Detective Morrison entered the room. 2 uniformed officers flanked her. Ms. Ashford, we'd like you to come to the station. We have questions about fraud allegations spanning 7 Charleston establishments. Vivian stood. Her hand shook. This is a mistake. I'm a victim here. Ma'am, you have the right to remain silent. Detective Morrison's voice was professional, firm. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Vivian looked around the room, at the board members who'd turned against her, at the customers who'd testified for Charlotte, at Charlotte, standing tall with Marcus beside her. For the first time, Vivian had no power, no influence, no escape. She walked out, head down, lawyer trailing behind, cameras flashing outside the building. Her followers would see this, the fall, the humiliation, the truth. Charlotte watched her go, felt nothing, not satisfaction, not anger, just relief. It was over. Brennan approached Charlotte, extended his hand. Ms. Hayes, on behalf of the Charleston Restaurant Association, I apologize. You deserved better treatment. If you need reference letters for your new position, I'll provide them personally. Thank you, Charlotte said quietly. Justice had been served. Subscribe for daily stories of justice and dignity. Hit that bell icon so you never miss when ordinary people prove the powerful wrong. Charlotte's office overlooked Charleston Harbor. Floor-to-ceiling windows, mahogany desk, leather chair. On the wall behind her desk hung a framed server's uniform. Black slacks, white button-down. The uniform she'd worn for 4 years at Sterling Heights. She kept it as a reminder of where she'd been, what she'd survived, who she'd become. Her phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Chun. Lily's doing great at school. Her teacher says she's thriving. You did good, Mama. Charlotte smiled. Lily's surgery had been 6 months ago. Successful. Complete recovery. No more pain. No more medical bills hanging over Charlotte's head like storm clouds. The office door opened. Marcus walked in carrying 2 coffee cups. Thursday coffee delivery. You don't have to keep doing this, Charlotte said. But she took the cup, smiled. I know. Marcus sat in the chair across from her desk. I want to. They'd fallen into a routine. Every Thursday, Marcus visited. They talked about restaurant operations, staff concerns, customer feedback. Sometimes they talked about other things, personal things. His daughter, her daughter, loss, hope, second chances. It wasn't romance. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But it was connection, built on mutual respect, shared values, understanding. How's the dignity training program going? Marcus asked. Charlotte pulled up her laptop. We've implemented it across all 12 locations. Staff satisfaction is up 47%. Customer complaints are down 62%. And we've had 0 fraud incidents since we started documenting everything. You're changing the culture. We're changing it, Charlotte corrected. This only works because you support it, because you actually care about your employees. Marcus looked at the framed uniform. Your old life. My foundation, Charlotte said. I learned more serving tables than I ever learned in law school. Patience, humility, reading people, finding dignity in work that society dismisses. She turned to look at the harbor. I'm grateful for those 4 years. They made me who I am. Her phone buzzed again. Different notification. LinkedIn message. Charlotte opened it. Read the preview. Her breath caught. Marcus noticed. Everything okay? Charlotte stared at the screen, at words she'd never expected to see. It's from Morrison and Cross Legal Group. My old firm. What do they want? Charlotte's hands trembled slightly. They want to talk. Charlotte clicked the full message. From Jennifer Wu, Senior Partner, Morrison and Cross Legal Group. Subject. Important information regarding your case. Ms. Hayes, I hope this message finds you well. I was a junior associate when you worked here. I always believed you were innocent. I wanted to inform you that Gerald Morrison has retired. Before leaving, he confessed to the document tampering in the Harrington Industries merger. He framed you to cover his own fraud. We have his written confession, witness testimony, documentary evidence. Your name has been cleared completely. We're prepared to provide letters of recommendation, support your license reinstatement, and offer compensation for the damage to your career. If you're interested in returning to legal practice, we'd welcome the conversation. You were the best paralegal we ever had. Please contact me at your convenience. Respectfully, Jennifer Wu. Charlotte set down her phone, stared at nothing. 5 years. 5 years of carrying the weight of false accusations. 5 years of rebuilding from nothing. And now, the truth was finally out. Charlotte? Marcus's voice was concerned. What is it? Charlotte looked at him, at her office, at the life she'd built from ashes. Some doors reopened unexpectedly. The next morning, Charlotte visited Sterling Heights, walked through the kitchen, said hello to Raymond. He grinned, gave her a hug that lifted her off her feet. In the dining room, she found Sarah training a new server. Young woman, maybe 22. Nervous energy. This is Amanda, Sarah said. First week. Charlotte smiled, extended her hand. Charlotte Hayes, Director of Service Excellence. Amanda's eyes widened. You're the one who I heard about what happened with that awful woman. I survived what happened, Charlotte corrected gently. And I learned that character matters more than position. Competence transcends circumstances, and justice requires community courage. A difficult customer waved impatiently at Amanda. The young server's face fell. Watch, Charlotte said softly. She walked to the table, smiled with genuine warmth. Good morning. How can I help you today? The customer's irritation melted. Charlotte handled the situation with grace, dignity, skill. Amanda watched, learning, hope replacing fear. Charlotte had come full circle. Thank you for experiencing Charlotte's story. Subscribe for weekly narratives about ordinary people who prove that dignity defeats arrogance every time. Hit that subscribe button and join our community of people who believe kindness, courage, and documentation can change everything. New stories every day. See you in the next one.